This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, summer scholars. This morning, our title for discussion will be or not to be. And that is a quote by William Shakespeare. And we're going to discuss, are you affected by imposter syndrome? And then we'll transition into an assignment that you'll have on the discussion board relating to the What I Be project. So throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, please unmute yourself. And Lisa and Barbara, if you can help me by monitoring the chat. And we will have some activities that will require participation. So I look forward to full participation this morning, despite our technical difficulties. So we're going to be on a roll.
Sounds good.
So what you're seeing here is just an image, and so an image that's really indicative of kind of what goes through your mind when you're experiencing imposter syndrome. And this is just as simple as someone saying, how are you doing? Okay, how are you doing today? And you're verbalizing, I'm doing just fine, but your mind is just doing all kinds of things to you. So your negative thinking, or your mind is just going in the direction of, oh my gosh, what's happening now? I don't know. Why are they talking to me? Do I have, something in my nose? You're just thinking all of the worst case scenarios that could possibly happen. And so we're going to do a little icebreaker this morning. And in the chat, as the questions come up, I want you to type in yes, no, or sometimes. Okay? So you're going to type yes, no, or sometimes as the questions come up. So the first question is, going to go. Do you agonize over even the smallest mistakes in your work? Yes, no, or sometimes. Okay, we got a oh hell yes. Okay.
Yeah, that was making me laugh too.
A good number of sometimes, and I think I only saw just a few no's. Okay. I personally would be a no over that. Agonize over the smallest mistakes. Next question. Do you attribute your success to luck or outside factors? And I would suggest that outside factors would be, help from others, or just maybe environmental things that have happened to just align you with success. All right, so you guys move through that one pretty quickly. So let's see. Sometimes, no. Outside factors. Okay, so your responses should be yes, no, or sometimes. So if Dina, you typed outside factors, are you asking what those outside factors are? Or, and Eileen, you said both. So is both yes and no, or no and sometimes, or yes and sometimes?
Eileen came back
okay.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yes, and
it's about luck.
Okay, so next question. Are you very sensitive to even constructive criticism? Yes, no, or sometimes? So here we have mostly no's. We have a few sometimes. I think sometimes would be in the context of, who is providing the constructive criticism. I would say probably the tone of the delivery of the constructive criticism all make a difference. All of that makes a difference. So I think this one is very subjective in terms of your sensitivity to it. Do you feel like you will inevitably be found out as a phony? Yes, no, or sometimes.
What do you mean?
When you're doing something, because imposter syndrome is about that lack of confidence or belief that other people are viewing you in a way that's probably likely not truly reflective of what you demonstrated in your talent. And so you're having that level of self-doubt. So being found out as a phony is more your thinking that you're not good enough or that you didn't put your best effort or you could have done better, that kind of thing. If that helps. Okay, so actually sometimes, let me just go back through. So good number of no's. And do you downplay your own expertise even in areas where you are genuinely more skilled than others? Do you downplay your expertise? Yes, no, or sometimes? Okay, so when we look at the poll here, we have a good number of yeses, a few sometimes, and a few no's. All right, well, here's the good news. You're not alone, okay? From an article in Very Well Mind, there's 70% of the people experience at least one episode of this phenomenon in their life. So I think one is probably 70% is one. I would probably say that it happens to many of us, maybe even on a daily basis, depending on the situation. Okay? And it's just a natural occurrence. It has nothing to do with your self-esteem, with your confidence overall. It's something that you can build over time with some skills and strategies, and we're going to talk about some of those today. So I do have a video, and you're going to take, after we watch the video, which I'll put the captions on, we're going to take an actual test. So you can test yourself and determine based on the questions. It's a 7-question survey, and it'll just give you kind of an idea of where you fall based on your own self-assessment in terms of the imposter syndrome. And I would really just like to emphasize that whatever your score is, that is just more at this moment in time your natural tendency. It is not inevitably like written in stone that this is what you'll be forever, because I hope that by the time this workshop is done, you'll have some new skills that you're going to use so that you can counter the impact of imposter syndrome. All right, so let me just exit here for a second. Just want to copy the link into my browser. Am I not seeing closed captions?
Actually, Tiffany, we might be able to hear it through your phone because your phone is right next to your computer. So the audio that comes out, we will be here. Like we might be able to hear it.
Yes.
All right.
Her.
Because I don't see closed captions. Thank you. Dina, you're a rock star. Do you believe it?
No, because you gotta unmute yourself on your phone, Tiffany. That's the only thing.
I'm muted on my phone? Oh, I'm muted now. Oh, I have to unmute myself on the computer. Hold on.
Okay, I can't
I
hear you now. Not
not
playing.
playing.
The volume.
No, on your phone, Tiffany.
No, it's not playing on my computer at all.
We see it.
You can?
You can?
We can see it, yeah.
You can see it, but can you hear it?
No, we cannot hear it.
We can't hear
No,
it, but
I
we can see it.
I can't hear it either.
Oh, but if you played it on YouTube on your phone, then we would be able to hear it. We just have to time it really carefully.
Hold on. Let's see.
But we are seeing the closed caption.
Okay. Okay, I found it. So let's see. I'm gonna try this. All right, my technical difficulties are getting the best of me today. All right.
Tiffany, you have to mute your
I give up on that. All right, let me just go fast forward a little bit. Once I send you the actual PowerPoint, you'll be able to play it on your own and listen to it. Just make a note that holistic ignorance is the same as imposter syndrome, but when you're just by yourself, you're having that level of self-doubt just in your head, as opposed to imposter syndrome, which is more when you're in a group dynamic. And just type in the chat if sometimes you get in your own head and you're thinking, you know, that the situation is, you know, out of your control, or someone gives you a compliment and you're like, really? Okay, thanks, but not really, because you don't believe it. So just type in the chat if you've ever felt like that. Sometimes, yes.
Quite a few yeses. Melanie says sometimes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you for indulging in watching the video with the captions on. Next, I want to put in the chat a link because I want you to go to this link and quickly take the imposter syndrome self-assessment. There you go. So copy and paste that in your browser and just click through. I think you have to, type in your name and then it'll take you right to the quiz. And then it'll ask you a couple more background questions and then it'll give you your results. Once you get to your results, click done in the chat and then we'll talk about it. Let me know if you're having difficulty accessing the site.
So Kevin's asking if you have to register first, and Sarah's saying, is it the assertiveness test? Because that link just takes you to the main page.
Hold on.
And it has a crap ton of tests.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yes, it does.
So they're going to go to the psych test. It's on the sidebar.
Which side? Oh, psych
Left
test.
side,
Okay,
thank you.
on the left-hand side, under view purchase report, it says PT. Those are the psych tests. So click there.
And then once you go there and kind of under the pinned post section, there's a free, I think
Test yourself.
No, that's not it.
No, that's the pandemic resilience. Okay.
No, hold on.
Pin.
I just did the test, so. Hold on.
I mean, a lot of good free tests here, though.
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can find it.
Yeah, I'm looking for it on here.
Is it the imposter syndrome test? I searched it and put it in the chat.
Oh, you put it in the chat? Yes, it's the imposter syndrome. All right, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
So click the link that Sarah put in. Let's see. Yes, and then you click that you agree and then click on take the test. You have to call, Skylar. Call. Yes, I'm on a call.
And you don't have to fill out all the questions on the second page. Just scroll down to the bottom and see your results. I mean, there's a link at the bottom of the second page to see your results.
And when you see your results and you're done, type the score that you got in the chat. What? Where at? For both of us? Manny and Petty? Okay. Okay, did everyone post their scores? It doesn't look like everyone posted their scores yet.
No, but Tiffany, can I get a mani pedi too with you guys?
Oh, you heard me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Mute on my phone, okay? Oh, I'm not muted on my computer.
Nope, just on your phone.
Well, good thing I'm saying nice things, right?
Yeah, but now you make me want to have a mani. No, just the pedi, not the mani.
Yeah.
I have to have a pedi badly.
Actually, I need a haircut more than anything. I can't do anything with my hair. But I haven't figured out the appointment system where I usually go because that's usually last on my list of things to get done. But self-care, man, self-care.
Okay, so we have a very broad range of scores. So let's see.
Shalima, you really got a 0? What does that mean?
What was the description, Shalimar? Read the description for the 0.
Or copy and paste it into the chat. You take ownership of most, if not all, of your success and believe you have earned the respect and praise that comes with it. Essentially, you do not feel like an imposter who will found out. You believe you have the ability to achieve great things, and it gives you a deep sense of satisfaction to look back on your life and see tangible proof that you have done many things of value. Awesome. Very awesome.
Yep.
That's the best 0 you've ever gotten.
Exactly.
Right?
The first time a 0 is positive.
Right, exactly.
All right, can either Brandon, Eileen, or Christy either read or copy and paste the results for a score in the 60s for us?
Brandon has his in.
So Brandon, you had a 63, and he said, you may take pride in some of your achievements, but still struggle to take full ownership of them. Sometimes, in spite of all that you have accomplished and the effort you put into achieving it, you feel like a bit of an imposter. As a result, you may attribute some of your success to factors beyond your control, and therefore feel like you haven't entirely earned the respect and praise that you were given. You want to believe that you are worthy of success, but can't fully convince yourself. Brandon, you are worthy.
Yes.
All of you are worthy.
Absolutely. And sometimes I think we get in our own heads.
For sure.
And we get in our own way.
True.
I don't have a score for Madison.
Sarah has a 30. Sarah has a 31.
Sarah, okay.
Do we just answer the 7 questions or after that as well?
I'm sorry, Nimrose, can you say that again?
Do we just answer the 7 questions or the page after that as well?
Just the 7 questions, and then scroll down to the bottom of that second page, and it'll give you a button that you can see your answers if you click on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, because I need Nimrose, Madison, Kevin. Is Kevin's score posted?
Let me
Looking
check.
right now. Nope, no Kevin.
No, Kevin.
So just Nimrose, Madison, and Kevin. In the meantime, Edward, can you post the description for the 21?
Mine was the same as Shalimar.
Oh, the 21 was in the same range as the 0?
Yep.
Awesome.
So how about somebody in the 30s?
Yeah, we have Sarah in the 30s and Nimrose has 46.
And Aaliyah has a 32. I'm not 32, but 30 as well. So one of you in the
All right.
30s, why don't you read your description? Sarah or Aaliyah, will you read your description, please?
Or post it, copy and paste.
Mine's the same as Shalimar.
Oh, really? Okay, so at 30, you
Yeah.
got the same as Shalimar. Okay, awesome, guys.
Well,
Anybody
let's see. How
40?
about Ashley at 37? Okay, Nimrose posted.
Yeah, that's the same as Brandon's.
Brandon.
I think I got something in the middle for mine. Nope, at a 49, I got, yeah, we got close scores, Nimrod. So yeah, I had the same one.
Okay, so it looks like the 0 to probably about the low upper 30s was
Yeah.
Shalimar's description, and then in the low 40s and up was this second description.
And Patricia got a 69. Is that the highest we got? Yeah. The highest we got was Patricia's. Patricia, do you want to read yours or post it?
Okay, Kevin got it.
Hi. I had to retake it again, and then it said I got 74, and then it's giving me like a different, I don't know, different stuff. So do you want me to post that?
Is it
Yeah,
different from what we've already seen?
Excuse me?
Yeah, go ahead and post yours.
Okay.
Rose, thank you for joining us. We had some technical difficulties with audio this morning on my part. So we got a 3-minute delay in starting, but we're going to try and make up for it so we can get you started on time.
Okay. Take your time.
Sorry, it's Garbage Man Day. The
All right,
dog's
so
going
Patricia got one of the higher scores. And so she has, for anybody, I guess, over like maybe 16 above, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no matter what you manage to accomplish, you are unable to enjoy your success. You see yourself as an imposter and fear that eventually, especially if you make a mistake or fail, people will discover that you are actually incompetent. This could be related to a lack of confidence, a tendency to believe that success is due to factors that you cannot control, like luck, or a fear that you will be unable to sustain it and thus lose people's respect. You find it difficult, if not impossible, to take ownership of your achievements and experience a great deal of self-doubt and self-denigration. So, Patricia, do you think that you are somebody who has a lot of self-esteem issues when it comes to accomplishments?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are a lot of students who feel that way as well. A lot of students who really feel that they lack confidence, you know, in their success, and not a lot of people in this group, but a lot of people in general, I think, feel that way.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think there's one time in my life where this would have definitely been me, Patricia. I would have been at this level or maybe even higher. I got to tell you, it's only been in the last 10 years that I think I've really tried to struggle and overcome my feelings of self-doubt, and it's not easy. And so, you know, hopefully, you know, you can work on that and be more confident.
Well, by the end of this workshop, we're going to give Patricia and everyone some strategies that they'll be able to use, so that way they'll be in a better position to understand how to cope with it when they experience it. All right, let me share my screen again. And I'll go back to the slideshow. So now that we've taken the test, some of the characteristics I think were outlined in the descriptions from the test result, but clearly self-doubt is the biggest one. Inability to realistically assess your competence and skills. And I think the realistic piece is important because we'll tend to focus on the negative aspects too much and like deflate the accomplishment. Attributing your skills or your success to external factors, berating your performance, like, you thought it was good, I didn't think it was that good, I could improve. Fear that you won't live up to expectations, overachieving, really pushing yourself, and probably just putting in more effort than you actually need to accomplish that particular task. Negative self-talk is another big one that just perfectly aligns with self-doubt. In that image that I showed, the second slide, with all of the air bubbles, all of that was negative self-talk. You've got sabotaging your own success and setting very challenging goals and feeling disappointed when you fall short. And that's why Rose's session on SMART goals is going to be critically important following this workshop session, because that will also help you put in perspective the idea of the imposter syndrome and how to manage. So some of the types. So the perfectionist. So in the chat, once we move through all the different types and you hear the descriptions, I want you to type in which type you believe best aligns with you. So the first type is the perfectionist, and perfectionism is clearly, you're never good enough. You always want to work harder. It can always be better. The next type is the superhero. And this just basically suggests that because these individuals feel inadequate, they feel compelled to push themselves to work as hard as possible. Trying to move. The expert. And these individuals always trying to learn more, never satisfied with their level of understanding. Even though they're often highly skilled, they underrate their own expertise. So when you are working in an area where you know the full scope of that particular topic or context, you start second guessing yourself. Next, the natural genius. And these individuals set excessively lofty goals for themselves and then feel crushed when they don't succeed on their first try. And yesterday we talked about grit and that follow through. And that is an issue for our, scholars who may find themselves as the natural genius. And last but not least, the soloist. And these are people that tend to be very individualistic. You want to work alone. Your self-worth often stems from your productivity, how much you can get done, how fast you can get it done. and you often reject assistance when it's offered or seek help. And we talked about that yesterday as well. So type in the chat which type best aligns with you. The perfectionist, superhero, the expert, the natural genius, the soloist.
Dean Warren, can we be a combination of two or just one?
You absolutely can. You can. So if you feel like you're a combination of two, list the one that you tend to lean into more frequently, and then you can list the second one that would be one that you would potentially kind of lean into on occasion. Let's see what you're putting in. Okay. So we've got soloist, perfectionist, superhero, soloist, soloist. Okay, soloist. Lisa, you're a combo, expert, perfectionist, and soloist.
I put them in order of most to least, but yeah, I'm definitely all of those things.
Yeah, there's quite a few soloists.
Yeah, but that says also that the soloists need to really work on the idea of getting support, knowing that you don't have to go this journey by yourself, leaning in on the resources that are available.
So I think
those are things that you need to focus on.
One of the reasons that I identify with the soloist is because I have formed this kind of type because I have in the past relied on other people to help me or to get help from, and they failed me. How many of you who are soloists have experienced that, where that you feel like you've been failed by somebody you reached out to get help from, and that's why you prefer to be a soloist? Yes, Brandon.
Well, if you identify with what Lisa just described in terms of how you lean into being a soloist, type yes in the chat. If that is, you've been let down before, people have not followed through in support of you, and so you feel like I got to do it on my own. I trust yourself. I can't rely on anyone else for help.
I think that's what it is. It's a lot of trust factor.
Correct.
You know the saying, once burned, shame on you, twice burned, shame on me. I think that really makes some people hesitant to want to do things with other people, and especially when it's a project, and especially if it has a grade factor included. You know, Brandon and I talked about this a while back about how we don't like group projects because of the fact that we always feel like people let us down in those situations, and we prefer not to work in groups because then we know we're getting the work done. Otherwise, in groups, we have to do the work because other people let us down.
And the other piece of that too is when you work in groups and you're a soloist or a perfectionist, many of these other types, you tend to want to be the lead, the leader, the designator of, you know, what the tasks are going to be, because you want to control the project.
Well, some people make us the leaders.
Well, that too.
In group situations,
know that you're responsible.
Right.
You see that a lot at in-service. Whenever there's a group project and I'm sitting at a table, they'll be like, Lisa will talk for us. And I say, what?
What you need to do is take a restroom break just before that point happens.
I should, definitely.
Are you voluntold?
Second in line, yes.
I don't volunteer. No, I never volunteer. I'd rather other people do stuff. But
I said voluntold.
Oh, yes, voluntold. Yes, yes.
Lisa, do you know how to record, how to get the transcript of the chat?
I think it might be available after you've recorded the video. It's one of the options, because when I went to go download some of the videos, there were transcripts and things like that available. I don't know if that's every time though. Let me see if there's something else that allows you to do something more with the chat. I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, I believe
screenshotting along the way, you know.
Dawn helped me with that once, but I completely forgot how to do it.
It didn't involve copying and pasting, I'm assuming?
No.
Okay, so then I'll look at your go-to meeting later and see if there's a way to pull off transcripts.
All right, so these are 9 ways that you can cope with your imposter syndrome, and just knowing the signs. Now that if you know better, you can do better. And those characteristics were definitely indicative of the signs. You want to let go of perfectionism. While sometimes it can be great to try to make sure that you have all of your T's crossed and your I's dotted, perfectionism can sometimes stagnate your progress, and you want to be mindful of that. You want to be able to have a mentor or talk to a peer or an advisor to help you manage this imposter syndrome. You know, is it good enough? Am I ready? And a mentor or a peer will be able to have a real conversation with you to encourage you that, yes, you are. You got this. Just remembering that you're not alone, and you don't want to be too tough on yourself. You do want to be kind, and you want to be able to say yes to opportunities, especially in cases where in class, if you're asked a question, you want to be able to have confidence to raise your hand to ask those questions or give a response without, and here's some imposter language that some of you may use. You raise your hand and you say, I know this is probably a stupid question, and then you ask the question. That's a sign of imposter syndrome. But there's definitely a way that you can flip that into a more positive approach to asking the question to counter the imposter syndrome. You want to just get rid of any fears or humiliation, humility and fear, because usually that's in your head. The people around you are not feeling all of those emotions that you believe that they're probably feeling. And a good measure is to track your success. So if you're able over time to say, yes, I've been able to achieve this, I've been able to achieve that, and you're tracking it, then you get a history of your performance that supports and counters the notion of imposter syndrome, because it says, yes, you are worthy, yes, you are accomplished, yes, you have the talent and the skills and the knowledge to get things done. And then after that, you want to embrace those feelings. So the next 2 slides really just walks you through the same coping skills, but in a narrative form as opposed to the diagram. And I won't go through each of them right now, but certainly once you get the PowerPoint, you can read through them in more detail. The one I will want you to pay close attention to is stop comparing, because again, yesterday I mentioned that you're a unicorn. You are the only person that is you, and so comparing is not going to help anything, and it doesn't move you forward in a positive way. So this is a quote that I want you to just remember and hold on to when you're having those moments of self-doubt. It's not what you are that holds you back. It's what you think you're not. And I'm just going to read that again. It's not what you are that holds you back. It's what you think you are not. And why that is so important is because all of the activities and discussions we've had throughout the week so far, they're scaffolding and building on one another so that you realize that through your goals and through the idea of managing your, the notion of imposter syndrome and knowing who you are, those I am statements. When you have strength in that, then you're able to move past these ideas of what you're not. Because in this life, it's a process, and we're building and learning and growing as we go. So the What I Be project, I'm going to escape out of this really quickly because I have the drawing tools in my way. Trying to get to the What I Be project. To just go through your assignment. But I want to give you a sample. Here we go. So type in the chat, yes, if you can see my screen. And this is just a really incredible project that this photographer, where is his name? I believe it's Steve Rosenfeld.
Yeah, everybody says yes.
Yes, okay, great. And so the whole purpose of this project was to really kind of address the imposter syndrome head on and really have individuals focus on what they are through their truth and the photos and imagery that go along with it. And he wants you to embrace the unicorn that you are and just be you. And if you saw the previous screen where it says be inspired, when it comes back, I'll show you. But I'd like to just give you an example of some of the images. And if you go to this screen, I'll put the link in the chat for you. Because what he does is he breaks down all of his projects by category. And so if you look at ability, and just click in there. And I'll scroll down. And I'll just go through the thumbnail. And so essentially your assignment is to identify your I am not, or I am, and then you can be as creative as you want. And they probably like wrote this with an eyeliner or some type of non-permanent
Not a Sharpie.
because you certainly don't want this to be on you permanently. So you can be as creative as possible, but something preferably that you can wipe off. But here you can see this young lady says, I'm not my competing. And so I have to do better. Let's see if I can go to the next one. Oh, it's not. All right, I'll pick another one. Let's do this young lady. So she says, I'm not my opinions. And then she's got fine balance. Okay, what she's got written on her wrist doesn't count. And so you can go through these images and choose kind of what works best for you. This one says, I'm not my anxiety. I can't lose. I'm better than that. Just work harder. Let's do one more.
Tiffany, can we edit like an old picture?
Yes, actually, Dina, that's a great idea that you can not write on yourself, hello, and you can edit a picture. So I think that is a fantastic Way to go. And you're just going to post the image in the discussion board. And I'm going to go and create the discussion post as soon as we finish with the workshop. All right, here's one young man. He says, I'm not by labels. He says, fluid, gay, straight.
Wait, Tiffany, we can use any of these examples, right? It doesn't have to be
Yes,
something.
Nope, it can be a unique to you. I don't want you to copy any of these, but I want you to just be inspired.
Okay, thank you.
And there are tons, there are like thousands. Each one of these categories, you can go in if you wanted to look at personality characteristics. So this young man says, I'm not my individuality. And then he says, sellout. And this is just from his individual perspective. And then what we'll do is once you post them all in the chat, you post yours in the chat, and then what I want you to do is you're just going to, in a few sentences, just describe, you know, what your phrase means, what the image means to you, and then you'll reply to one of your peers in the class.
And when is that due by?
We can make it due by, what is today, Wednesday?
Today is
Sunday.
Wednesday.
Sunday. We'll make it due Sunday. And then on Monday, we'll be able to review it. We'll do like a little slideshow. And it won't be a whole individual presentation where you'll have to talk through it again, because that will have happened through the discussion board. But we'll go through and just share the images. Type in the chat if you're clear about the assignment. Yes, yes, yes.
Everybody's saying yes.
All right, awesome. With that said, before I turn everything over to Rose, which Rose, I'm going to make you a presenter. So you can share your screen. On tomorrow, we have a guest presenter coming.
Woo-hoo.
So she is the author of a book called Discover Your Best Self. She is someone that I know personally, and she's going to do a presentation around just preparing for your career and planning, emotional intelligence. She's going to bring together some of the things that we've been talking about, and there'll be some activities. And I'm hoping tomorrow that we'll have full participation. I've already let her know that, you know, we have issues with connectivity, but for as much as we can turn our cameras on, we want to try and do that unless we have individuals who are having significant connectivity problems. But in saying that and in preparation, I've sent her the pictures that you sent me so that she'll at least be able to put faces to names. Okay. And at the end of Rose's presentation, if you have any questions, I am happy to answer anything that you may have. So Rose, without further ado, you can take over. I will unshare my screen. And the floor is yours. You're doing SMART goals this morning, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. And SMART goals, before, I don't know if you were on the call, SMART goals was one of the coping skills to counter imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I missed the beginning of that presentation. It looked very interesting.
Well, it's recorded, so you can go back and view it and like us on our YouTube channel that Lisa created for us. Thank you again, Lisa.
I'm still working on it, but yeah, it'll be there.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and hang up my phone because for whatever reason, Rose, I am unable to hear. Well, you know what? I can't hear everybody.
So she won't be able to hear you, Rose.
Oh, okay.
She's having some issues.
Tiffany, we can't hear you at all. You're muted.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, I'll just leave it on
Yeah.
then. No problem. If you hear my kids yelling down or something like that, you'll it's just normal.
It's all good. All right. Good morning, guys. We're just picking up where I left off with the time management. So we had some goal setting slides that I wanted to go over with you guys. As Dean Warren indicated, you guys have been discussing goal setting, and it's kind of been peppered throughout the EOF program. But so before we get too far into the how to set of goals, I wanted to do an activity with you. So this is called, well, actually, I do want to bring your attention to the first slide here. If you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. So, it's important to, if you've got a particular goal in mind, to kind of figure out what steps there are to get to that point. So this activity is called the numbers game. And what you will see, excuse me, in a bit, you will see a block. A block will appear with numbers 1 through 100 on the left-hand side of the slide. Okay, you will have 3 minutes to sequentially locate the each of the numbers, starting with number 1. So if we were doing this in person, I'd be handing you a sheet with all these numbers on it, and you would merely start with the number 1, circle it, find the number 2, circle it. So you're just visually doing this, okay? The goal is to locate as many numbers as you can within a 3-minute time period. Right, and at the end of 3 minutes, in the chat section, just type in the highest number you were able to locate. Does everybody understand the task at hand?
Rose, is it like
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Lisa. I'll speak after Lisa.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. Your question.
So I was asking Rose, is it like last time where there was like a trick where we had to like
No, it's just a task I'm asking you to do. There's no right or wrong. Well, actually, the right way to do it is sequentially. Like, you just don't, identify all the numbers. You have to locate the number 1 visually, locate the number 2 visually. So it may take some time. You're not likely to identify all 100 numbers sequentially within a 3-minute period of time. But so we're just trying to gauge how many numbers you can locate visually within that 3-minute time period, okay? So let me get the timer. All right, ready? Go.
Well, I shouldn't do it on the, oh yeah, nobody can see me. Ah.
wait, Rose, we write it after right?
What was that?
After the 3 minutes are over, we write it in the chat, correct?
Whichever, what the highest number you got to. No cheating, guys. Guys, the 3 minutes isn't up yet.
Got a minute and 20 seconds.
Barbara, I think you cheated.
No, I did not.
Okay. Well, okay,
Now,
guys.
3 minutes.
So now the 3 minutes are up. Just indicate the highest number that you were able to locate.
Nice job, Edward.
Good. Is that everybody?
Doesn't look like it. And Jabari, you should have a new number because you stopped too soon.
There's a part 2 to this activity, so. All right, I'm assuming everybody typed in their number?
Most people, but not everybody.
Okay. So part 2, you are once again, let me my timer. So once again, you're going to start with number 1 and locate each number sequentially in order as you did before. Your goal will be the same, but this time you will have some direction. The hint is the numbers are not merely scattered in random chaos about the page. Each number is actually assigned a quadrant. Okay, so the number 1 was located in the upper left-hand quadrant. Number 2 is located in the upper right-hand quadrant. Number 3, lower left. Number 4, lower right. Where will you find number 5? What quadrant will you find number 5?
Upper left?
Correct. And what about number 6?
Where's number 6, guys?
Upper right.
Upper right, exactly.
So now that you know where these things are and you have clearer direction in your task, we're going to basically do the same thing, 3 minutes, and then after 3 minutes, we'll see how high, what the highest number is that you visibly were able to locate, okay? Everybody ready? Ready. Go. What? Okay, time's up. So once again, type in the highest number that you were able to locate in the chat. Look at that improvement. That's awesome.
Sarah, geez, Louise, man. Your eyes are way faster than mine. Whew.
How many did you get, Lisa?
What did I put up there? I think 62.
And what was your first one, Lisa?
I think it was like 11,
Okay.
12, something like that. So, Madison got 100.
Nice.
Nicely done, nicely done. That totally made all the difference, but my eyes are old and slow, so that's my excuse.
Anybody else who want to share? Or if everybody entered, I can't tell. But so ultimately, what can you tell me that this number game demonstrated to you in relation to achieving goals? Any volunteers? Hello.
Having some direction really makes a difference.
It absolutely does. Yeah. Yep. So yes, knowing about the quadrants certainly provided that added direction for you, right? So you're more likely to arrive at your destination or goal when you proceed with direction and purpose. And while setting goals and tending to your goals is important, I also caution you to be careful because a tunnel vision approach can result in missed opportunities that presented themselves along the way. It's important to have goals, and throughout life, you know, as you're creating these goals and reassessing them and your timeline and all of that, you know, be open to additional opportunities that may come your way that can certainly change your path in both a good and a bad way too. So, but hopefully in a good way. So let's see. So the smart way to make goals achievable is to use this acronym SMART. And sorry, apparently 3 minutes is up yet again. Let's see. So when you're creating your goals, make sure that they're specific and simple, sensible, significant. Make sure they're measurable, meaningful, and motivating. If they're not motivating and you're not, it's very easy to let them fall by the wayside if you're tired of trying to reach a certain goal. You also want to make sure that it's achievable, agreed, and attainable, relevant, reasonable, realistic, results-based, and time-bound. Time-based, time-limited, timely, time-sensitive. All of these things are things you should consider when creating your goal. And I assume most of you know who Dr. Phil is, but he often says the difference between a dream and a goal is a timeline and accountability. And I wanted to talk about the time-bound thing. Tiffany mentioned about, in that last segment, about comparing yourself to others. And one of the things in my role as an advisor here on campus, I would often meet with students where they felt, if they weren't doing very well in a particular class and we were having a discussion about it, or they might ended up, let's say if they failed a class or two and they had to retake it over the summer, they felt very badly about themselves for not achieving that goal because, all their friends are graduating and they won't be until maybe an additional semester, has to take place for them to earn their credits. And that could be very discouraging, certainly. But your life is, and what you've got going on, all the things that you're juggling is going to be different from, somebody else's that may not have to work and maybe don't have the same family responsibilities, so they have more time to dedicate to their educational goals. So it is kind of human nature to do that. But at the same time, I really caution you on doing what's best for you and your situation. And that's why your goals do need to be evaluated and reevaluated in terms of your timelines and your expectations sometimes. I had mentioned to you guys too that I was 30 years old when I came back to college and committed myself to earning my degree. And I remember telling my mother that, and I thought she'd be really happy that I made this decision to go back to college. And my mother is a very sweet lady. And I know that she didn't mean this to sound the way it did, but she said, "Rose, aren't you too old to go to college?" And I said, Mom, I said, that may be, and I may be the oldest person in my classes, which I was not, which was a good thing, certainly. But, and the fact that I initially was starting out part-time for the first few semesters, because again, I had family responsibilities and I couldn't commit to a full-time schedule initially. So what I said to her, I said, it's going to take me a long time to go part-time to complete this degree. I said, the way I'm thinking about this is, if it takes me 10 years to get a bachelor's degree, so be it. God willing, I'm going to be 10 years older regardless. I could choose to be 10 years older with a degree or without one. So that was the way I kind of allowed myself to move forward with that. So it actually took me, I think, a total of 15 years to earn through my master's degree because of all of my part-time semesters, but I got it done. So slow and steady also wins the race. So questions to ask yourself when you're creating your SMART goals. So again, when we talk about being specific, what is it that you actually want to accomplish? So when I came back to school, I wanted to be a better student. You know, I did okay in high school, and I remember at graduation, all the honors students, you know, as they got dressed in their regalia for graduation, I forget whether they actually had like a special collar or whether it was cords to distinguish them from the rest of the students. But those high achievers had a special designation. And I remember as we were getting ready for, you know, to proceed out on the, you know, into the area for the ceremony, I just remember feeling, oh, if only I tried harder. That would really be nice to have that. So when I came to Warren County Community College, and I was aware of their the Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society on campus. So that was a goal that I wanted to achieve. So I wanted to be a better student. Well, there's not much quantifying that, right? Well, how does one be better? So by identifying and picking it apart, what are the things that I needed to do? Well, I had to know what the criteria was for becoming a Phi Theta Kappa member. So I knew I needed a 3.5 career GPA. I had to earn 12 Warren County Community College credits. So as a part-time student, my first few semesters, I couldn't achieve that goal until my third semester in. You know, when it talks about, you know, what resources and you know, I knew also that there was a charge involved with a financial factor, which actually, if you look at number 3, where it talks about financial factors and if it would be achievable. Back in the day, the cost to join Phi Theta Kappa was $65. Now I believe it's $85, but still well worth the investment, in my opinion, certainly. So the goal, going back to the number 2 with measurable, how would I figure out to improve my grades? What did I need to do within that time frame? You know, being a better student, what does that mean? In doing better, doing more, I had to also include timelines in terms of you know, how many hours I was going to dedicate to, how much time I was going to dedicate into my studies, my projects. So that was measurable to me. So going down to achievable, how can I accomplish that goal? Again, identifying areas that I struggled with my first time out in college and also as a high school student as well. For relevancy, you know, was it worthwhile? Absolutely, because as a Phi Theta Kappa member, I ended up receiving an $8,000 scholarship when I went to Centenary. So that, again, for that $65 investment, it was a good return. So some of the other questions that, as far as relevancy, does it seem worthwhile? Is it the right time? Does this match our other efforts and needs? Am I the right person to reach the goal? Is it applicable in the current socioeconomic environment? Certainly that $8,000 came in very handy. Again, time-bound, the when, like the duration of time, I knew that you know, I wouldn't be invited to join Phi Theta Kappa until a few semesters out, but I had to make sure that my GPA was going to stand up to it. A 3.5 is basically a B plus average. So identifying what you can do 6 months from now, 6 weeks from now, what can you do today? All of these components and questions as you are developing your goals can help you make them more measurable and more achievable because you're able to put your plan into action. Does anybody have any questions about those? All right. So this next slide, I just kind of created this example here, but I'd like you to take some time to set 3 goals for yourself for this semester that you feel that you can stick to. Remember to be specific and make sure your goal is measurable. So obviously you guys at some point decided I'm going to earn a college degree. You didn't, and there were certain steps that you had to take to get the ball rolling, right? So you had to complete the college application, the EOF application. You had to apply for financial aid. Now, of course, these timelines off to the right, I'm not sure if they were accurate for what you guys actually did. And there's probably many more steps in there that I didn't include. But again, this is just an example of all right, so you developed a goal. Yes, I want to earn a degree. A lot of students are very interested in earning that degree, but they're not necessarily willing to do every step along the way to make that happen. And that means showing up for classes. You know, you're not going to earn your degree if you cut classes left and right, or if you're not progressing well in them. You're not going to be eligible for financial aid if you are, you know, fail too many classes, and your GPA plummets, and you end up on probation for financial aid. So there's a lot of factors. So maintaining that motivation and identifying all these little pieces and these steps for you to be motivated enough to just make it happen will get you again closer to that goal. So I'd like you to take a few minutes to jot down some goals for yourself, and just identify a couple of how-tos, like what steps you would need and a timeline. And then when in a few minutes, I'll ask for somebody to share, a couple of you to share the goals that you came up with. All right.
Everybody understand what they need to do? Type yes or no in the chat.
Everybody says yes.
Good job, guys.
Thanks for mentioning, Barb, the gold cords. And that was a big thing for Phi Theta Kappa. You get a gold tassel and a gold stole, and cords as well are available. And I wanted to be decked out when I hit the graduation stage.
And if you're an EOF, I think you also get an additional stole and an additional cord. So
yep,
that's pretty awesome.
We bling you out.
And EOF covers the cost of your the membership for PTK if it's a financial hardship for you.
Yeah, boy.
So there's no reason not to join, especially once you get the invitation.
I wish EOF had been in operation when I was at WCCC.
Yeah, me too.
It was before our time, Lisa.
Uh-huh, exactly.
just give you a couple more minutes, and then we'll get a couple of volunteers to share their goals. Okay, does anyone, did anyone complete their one goal across the board there with the who, what, sorry, the what, how, and when? And just shout out what, if you'd like to share one goal and how you want to achieve it, and the timeline.
I'll go. One of my goals was to finish fall semester. And when I don't know the date of when fall semester ends, but that's what the date would be.
Okay.
And how I do it is to make sure, you know, that I've finished everything on time, turn in everything, ask questions when I need to, make sure I'm passing all my classes.
Great. And was that it? That I didn't want to cut you off before I asked the next.
No, that's the only one I have for right now.
Okay. No, that's perfectly fine. Anybody else want to share a goal that they want to commit to?
Mine is also like Nimrod's, but I set for myself like a goal that I want to reach. I put a goal of what I want my grades to be.
Okay.
But that's about it. And for the deadline Nimrod's, I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but I think it's around December 22nd, because that's when all of my courses end. So I don't know for everyone else.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
We have time for one more share.
Hello.
Hello.
I want to go.
Okay.
I put one. Well, I put one of mine is to finish the fall semester, but it was more of a, in quotations, I put mostly just time management. I just want to have good time management. So like
Okay.
I put like I just put like deadlines on like kind of like deadlines on deadlines, like the assignment is due this, but I want to do it like beforehand. I just want to get into the habit. I feel like that's like my main goal, honestly, is my time management. So that's what I
So to
put.
be more proactive with your timing. Good. Anybody else?
I have another one. Apply for spring financial aid. How I'm going to do that is make sure I go on the website and jot down the date, and also prepare what I need a little bit ahead of time, so that when the date does come, I have all my stuff. And then once I submit it, if anything's missing, I have enough time to go ahead and collect all the other items that I need.
Very good. It's very key in the college environment to be very aware of deadlines for everything, not only your coursework and what the expectations are within your professors' expectations, but it's important, especially for financial aid purposes, to get the applications in you know, to make sure that you qualify for the maximum types of aid that's out there. You know, if you might still be eligible for a Pell Grant, but if you miss the deadline, you know, you might not be eligible for the New Jersey Tuition Aid Grant or something along those lines. So it is really important to be mindful of those deadlines. And if you are unsure, even if a particular thing has a deadline, ask. Don't hesitate to ask, because it could make the difference, a significant financial difference in that respect. So you could always check websites to double check for deadlines, you know, the FAFSA website, or and I'm sure even talking with Jackie, she'll keep you on track as well. But she doesn't know what you don't know, so nor does anybody. So it's important that if you have a question or just aren't sure, to reach out and make sure that you're, and not just asking a friend. Years ago, when I used to be the director of financial aid many years ago, and I remember, you know, we've had siblings from the same family. One student was eligible for grants and the other was not. And so just because, you know, their financial information was different, one student worked and the other didn't. So that made a difference in what their eligibility was. So it's important not to make assumptions, especially financial assumptions, that could negatively impact your ability to move forward with funding your education. So, you know, I just caution you on that as well. All right. So let's go to the next slide. Thank you for sharing, guys. And why is that? So creating SMART goals, it will help you to clarify your ideas, focus your efforts, use your time and resources productively, increase your chances of achieving what you want in life. And it absolutely needs periodic evaluation and adjustments as you go through. That's why it's often good to have a plan B, C, D. Sometimes you need it. And sometimes it might be time to kind of make a new goal, you know, and shift from something else. You know, when I came back to college the first time, or my second time out coming here, my goal initially was I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. Guess what? I've worked here for 21 years and I'm not a kindergarten teacher. And it's because I also kept my options open, and certain things happened along the way that kind of shifted my career path, and I'm very happy that it did. That's not to say that, you know, people that have, you know, who've always wanted to be a teacher from the time they were 5 years old, you know, there's many people that go ahead to achieve that goal. I knew I wanted to have a college degree, and while, you know, you might not have taken a class yet that has inspired you so much that, you know, it caused you to shift your path, and that's a good thing. So be open to those things as well. Does anybody have any questions? Right, so these resources listed were primarily from the first portion of for the time management section. And that's all I have. So I thank you for your time.
Yay, Rose.
And I think
wonderful. And you're right on time.
I know, I'm impressed with myself. That doesn't usually happen.
No, it doesn't. Let's see. Well, let's thank Rose. Round of applause. Very good. SMART goals. Perfect timing. Let's see, I have updated the discussion board, and I'm just going to go and share my screen again, so that way you can see it. And I forgot yesterday to do one thing with you while we were talking about grit and self-awareness. So that means you have actually 2 discussion posts, both of which are not a heavy lift. We skipped DQ4 because we skipped academic mindset. So we'll just come back to that next week. But you have DQ, I call it 5A and 5B. So DQ 5A, if you can see on my screen, is your grit assessment. So when you go into this particular discussion post, there's a link here with the grit scale. So it's a really short grit assessment, personal assessment. Once you finish, you'll get a grit score. So what I did was I took the assessment, I posted here my score, and then you'll be able to click more information about grit, so that way you can have a little bit more information to inform your reflection. And so then you're just going to post a minimum of 100-word grit reflection with statements that'll help you follow, or strategies, I'm sorry, that'll help you follow through. And then you will respond to one other student, and that is all due on Sunday at 11:55. Okay, so that should be pretty simple. And the one I just set up right now is DQ5B. That is our What I Be project. And you're going to also post your picture with your statement. And I included from the What I Be website by stating, I am not my blank. You're claiming that they do in fact struggle with these issues, but it doesn't define you. And so the examples that are on the web page under images would be a great guide. What it is not for you to go and say that you're not fat, that you're, that you don't have love handles or different things like that. You want to tap into and go a little bit deeper and addressing some of the insecurities that you may have, so that way you can feel more empowered. And then you'll just write a short 100-word post that will explain how the insecurity has affected your life, how it's affected you. And since we've, walked through the imposter syndrome, it's easy to choose one of the things that you may have identified with through that exercise for your statement for what I am. I am not my blank. I'm not my self-doubt, for example.
Hey, Tiffany, for
Yes.
I am not my, do you want us to put it in the DQ subject headline, or do you want us to put it right on top of the picture?
On top of the picture, So that way your picture should include, and if you could, yes, the picture should include your name, first and last name, or at least if you don't put first and last name, if we want to maintain some anonymity when I put it in the PowerPoint, just your initials, first initial, last initial, okay? And then you'll put your statement, I am not my blank, and your words that you'll put on your body parts or on your face or whatever the case may be on your picture will be kind of the opposite of that, the empowering piece of it, similar to the examples. And then you'll just write a short description describing the insecurity and how it affected you. Is that clear? Yes, yes, yes. Well, one yes anyway. There we go. Here we go. So again, tomorrow we're going to have our guest presenter, Christine Fowler-Phillips, and I'll do more of an intro of her tomorrow. Trying to think, do I have? But the good news is she will be mailing copies of her book for me to send to each of you. So you'll each get a signed copy of her book, each summer scholar, probably in the coming days. Once I put them in the mail, I'll have to receive them and then I'll send them out to each one of you. But her presentation should be very informative, very engaging, lots of hands-on conversation, and she's a high energy person, so it'll definitely be something that I think will be memorable, a memorable aspect of the Summer Scholars Program. If we don't have any questions about the discussion board, I'll get rid of that. Then you're convened for lunch, and you have this afternoon study blocks, so that way you can get some work done. And then we'll reconvene exactly at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, because she will be probably on 10 minutes before the call, so that way we can get started. And I will get my audio issues resolved by then. So thank you again, Rose, for the SMART goals, because that is going to dovetail nicely into tomorrow's discussion. And if there are no questions, I will say goodbye and have a great day until tomorrow.
Bye, everybody. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right.